Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Hannah. I'm 27 years old. I live in California in a little beach cottage with my husband, 4 ducks, and 3 cats. It's so heavy when it's full. Alright, water number 2 being filled up. It's early September and we're experiencing a bit of a little late summer heat wave in California, which if you know me, you know that I love the heat. We've been really trying to squeeze the most out of these summer days. We've been running and then going for ocean swims, and also the surf is starting to pick up here, so we'll be doing a lot more surfing now, which is really exciting. Our passion fruits are starting to ripen and our sunflowers are putting out their final blooms of the summer. Things are feeling good and calm at the moment, which is always nice, and to be honest, I'm feeling actually ready for fall. I really feel like having bacon this morning, so I'm gonna make bacon and 2 duck eggs and probably some berries, and then I'm gonna jump into my day. It's the bacon I use. It's the organic, no sugar, uncured bacon, and it's really good and it feels like very high quality bacon. I definitely should have done this in one pan, but I forgot that we had bacon when I started the eggs. I love getting up early so that I have time to just do this. Literally this. I am off to the post office. I need to send out some Depop to come back and do some computer work for a few hours, but I also really want to make bone broth. If I have time later in the day, I might make some bone broth, which I'm really excited about. What I might do is like make a chicken soup first, but we'll see. That might have to wait until tomorrow. Also, the ducks, if you can hear them, that means that they can see me through the window right now and they're like telling me to come outside. I literally sometimes avoid standing near those windows because it just sets them off. These are the thrifted shorts that I got from the Goodwill surplus store. They're one of my favorite finds. They're Free People. I'm pretty sure they're pretty old. Oh my gosh, my fly is down. That means my fly was down that entire time that I was talking. Sorry about that. And then just a little floral tank top and my sun hat. Okay, just a quick midday check-in. Mine and Joe's new obsession. Purely Elizabeth cereal. Mixed, the green stuff is pumpkin seed protein from Sprout Living, which is one of my favorite brands for protein powder. So this is the cereal, is the protein powder. I changed into this comfy, it's basically just a vintage nightgown, but I love thrifting these because first of all, they're very comfy to just wear in the house, and since they're vintage, they're made out of 100% cotton, so it's just like so nice to wear. It's also kind of cute. Anyways, I've just been sitting in front of my computer for the last few hours. Right before that, I went for a walk though because I knew that I'd be sitting for a long time, so at least I got a little bit of movement in. But I asked Joe if I should wait for him to go for a run, and he said yes. So I have about an hour or an hour and a half before he gets home from work. So I'm gonna start on the big chicken soup that I want to make. So let's get started. Waiting for the soup to get up to a boil, but I brought some celery out to the ducks because it's their favorite. They're now in this daytime coop foraging around in this patch of grass. It's a few hours later now and we went for a really nice mellow walk. It wasn't even like an exercise walk at all. We just literally strolled. I just took all the meat off the chicken and then shredded it with 2 forks, just kind of like all the shredded chicken that came from that one chicken. It's a ton of meat. And then, sorry, I know some people might find this gross, but this is all the bones and cartilage that I am setting aside for bone broth tomorrow. The reality of being married to a carpenter is that he'll build you really cool things like outdoor shower, but this is what his pants look like. And they're fresh out of the wash. Literally fresh out of the wash, and they still look like this because there's glue all over them. making nourishing rice again for dinner. So in the pot right now is carrots, kale, basmati rice, an onion, olive oil, salt, pepper, and garlic, a ton of garlic. And then I'm gonna put bone broth in. Special part about this nourishing rice is that about half the bone broth is gonna be my homemade bone broth. I have a Manuka honey face mask on right now, which is basically, I just smeared Manuka honey all over my face. I talked about my new skincare routine, or lack thereof, in my last video, so I won't get into it too much now, but I've been loving Manuka honey so much on my face. It just feels so healing, and like I talked about last time, my main goal right now is just healing my skin barrier. Emphasis on healing. The nourishing rice is on the stove, just staying warm, so dinner's all ready, which is always a great feeling. Joe is outside with the ducks right now, and it's just a normal Wednesday evening in our household. The sun is going down. This is a nice time at night because we're both done with work, especially when dinner's made, my bath is running, the ducks are happy. Everything just seems under control, and it's a good feeling. All right, here's my bath setup, and then these Epsom salts smell so good. Good morning. The next morning, it's Thursday today. Still pretty early in the morning, but I got a pretty good early start. I already let the ducks out, collected the eggs. I'm just sitting and making my to-do list for the day right now. I also need to do an egg drop off a bit north from here. If you don't know, I do sell our duck eggs. Not to that many people, but I do have like a core little group locally here who love our duck eggs. I sell little cartons. It's not like a full-fledged business or anything. It's just a fun little thing to do, and I just love sharing our eggs. Outfit today is, this is probably one of the tops that I have owned and worn the longest and most in my adulthood. I bought this when I was studying abroad in New Zealand in college, so I was probably 21 at that time. I remember I turned 21 on that trip, and I'm 27 now. So I've had this shirt for about 6 or 7 years now. After that trip, I had no idea that I'd be moving to New Zealand after college. If you're new here, my husband Joe, he's from New Zealand, and quick backstory is that when we met, I was living in Portland at the time in college, and he was traveling through. Before we even met, I signed up for the New Zealand study abroad trip at my college. So when we did end up meeting, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to your country next school year. I had no idea at that time of telling him that he was gonna literally be my boyfriend at that time, and that I'd be like meeting his family and everything in New Zealand. I just thought like, oh, funny thing, like I'm going to New Zealand, blah, blah, blah. We end up fully dating, obviously, and go to New Zealand, meet his family, do my whole study abroad trip, and really fall in love with New Zealand and Joe. And so then I had a whole other school year left after that study abroad trip. I had my whole senior year left because I studied abroad in my junior year. So then did my whole senior year, and then it came down to like picking kind of where to live in terms of our relationship. Is Joe gonna come to the US, or am I gonna go to New Zealand? Like, we wanted to make the relationship work, obviously. But Joe was back living in New Zealand by that point, and I was graduating college, so we kind of had to make that decision, and I ended up moving to New Zealand. Lived there for about a year, then my working visa was expiring, and then COVID hit. So that's a little recap in case you're new, but I am born and raised in California. After all that, decided to move back to California, and Joe met up with me about a year and a half later. We did a year and a half of long distance, not seeing each other during lockdown, and then made the decision to settle here in California, got married, etc. Which brings us to today in our little beach cottage. But yeah, that feels like forever now that we went through all that. Anyways, can you tell that I'm procrastinating? All right, I washed and packed up some eggs. Is anyone else addicted to these? Dude, so good. I'm also gonna pack my laptop and my hard drive. I don't go anywhere without my planner. I just ducked into a thrift store on the way to the garden store, and look what I found. The lady at the checkout stand was looking at it, and I just kept looking at her face, and she's like, anytime I see anything with ducks, I just feel like I have to buy it, and I just love how this is solid wood. So I'll figure out a cool place to put this in our house. is just super knowledgeable about chickens mostly. Definitely a struggle of having pet ducks is that it's not as common to have ducks, obviously. So when you go to those places, I didn't have any questions today, but people don't know as much about ducks, which is totally fine with me. There's so many online resources. A lot of the things that I buy and the things that I do are mostly angled towards chickens, and then I just have to like do some extra research online, because keeping chickens and ducks is actually like quite similar. I mean, they're both birds and they live outside in a coop most of the time, and they eat very similar food. We actually feed our ducks chicken food. It even says on the package like can be fed to ducks and geese, I think. Anyways, I'm rambling, but I picked up one extra sunflower. I'm really pushing it because it's already September, so we'll see if the sunflower will bloom. But I've been having good luck with sunflowers this year, so we'll see. I would love to try to just like squeeze the most out of it because I love sunflowers so much. I'm gonna go grab a coffee. I finished up at the coffee shop and now I'm doing the egg drop off. Okay, back home, and I was just looking at our front gate and I'm like, what if the way to put it on there, I need to take the price tag off, but that would be kind of cute. Those there for now. Oh. I changed into some comfy clothes to get some steps in. No, I really do not feel like doing any form of exercise today. 'Tis that time of the month, so taking it easy and not doing anything crazy. The gym class I go to weekly is tomorrow, which is Friday, so I know that I'll be lifting weights and stuff tomorrow. I've been really liking, I don't know if I've talked about that recently, but I've never been a gym rat or anything. Used to do some lifting when I played college soccer my first year, but weightlifting has never really been my thing, especially lifting weights. And I'm not talking like little dumbbells, I'm talking like, you know, squat rack and all that. So interesting, it used to give me autoimmune flare-ups. Any form of pushing myself to my like physical limits is the best way I could describe it. That would trigger autoimmune symptoms. I think just taxing your body to that extent would then cause me to have especially like fatigue flare-ups. So I've been really careful with weightlifting. Another thing that would cause flare-up is running long distances. However, I did not have an autoimmune flare-up or really any bad symptoms after my marathon and whole marathon training. So that was such like an amazing indicator and feeling that I am in remission. Autoimmune diseases technically can never go into full real remission because autoimmune diseases are chronic illnesses that lie within you somewhere, but they can go dormant. To a certain extent, I am in remission, but autoimmune diseases lie dormant, so they can be triggered, if that makes sense. And for me at least, when it gets triggered, it's not this full giant flare-up where I have to go to the hospital again and all of that. It's more so that when it does get triggered for a few days, it used to be a few weeks, but for a few days I show autoimmune symptoms. And that's what a flare-up looks like for me personally. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So I've been very careful with weightlifting over the past few years. And it's not really something that I feel super passionate about anyway, so it's not like I'm like yearning to go throw around some giant weight. However, I do totally see the benefit, and the reason why people do lift weights and do strength training is to build muscle and to stay strong, especially as you get older. Therefore, I have joined a gym, but it's not like a classic gym where you just go and show up anytime you want. It's specifically for classes and classes about weightlifting. And since it's only once a week, I find that my body has a lot of time to recover from each session. So I do a weightlifting class once a week, and then I'm gonna also try to do a HIIT class once a week, and that has some weightlifting in it too, but it's more so just body weight. It's high intensity interval training. You're not doing big like squat racks and stuff. And then of course I'm still running, surfing, swimming, all the stuff that I love to do. I'm also technically training for a half marathon right now. Has that really started? No. I do feel like I'm at a place in my life though where I can whip out a half marathon. It feels amazing to be able to say that, because this time last year is when I was training for my first ever half marathon. I was so nervous. Oh my gosh, it's really cool to see how far I've come in the past year. So I have been staying very active recently and it feels good, but I'm also being very aware of when I need to rest. On days like this, bring it back to what I was saying before, I'm just gonna go for a mellow beach walk and hopefully jump in the ocean as well. Part of me protecting my skin barrier is wearing a hat. Do I love the look of this hat? No, especially with my little ponytail, but I am committed to healing my skin barrier. Good morning. It is pretty early the next morning. It's Friday. This week went by actually very fast because it has been a short week. Also, it's cat mayhem around here right now. This time of morning, they are just bouncing off the walls. Some of you have pointed out that like while I'm talking to the camera like this, you can like see like cat tussles and stuff happening in the background, and I find that so funny because like to me it's so normal, so I just ignore it by this point. I find it so funny that there's like stuff going on behind me. Anyways, I am going to jump into doing just a ton of Depop packaging. The other day, I think it was Tuesday of this week, I just went crazy with Depop shooting and posting. My eyeballs felt like they were falling out of my head from how much I was staring at my phone posting the Depop listings. Love doing big drops at once. You're doing each step for multiple items all at once, and so you do it in stages, whereas I used to do like would post a couple things here, a couple things there, and then it would, Depop is already a lot of work, like a lot of steps, so finding your groove with it definitely takes time. So if you're just starting Depop, don't give up. I think right now is such an amazing time to start Depop, and I'm not affiliated with Depop whatsoever, I'm just passionate about it, but they have taken away they have taken away their selling fees, which is crazy. I think it was 10% per sale, and then there was fees on top of that as well. But now there's no selling fees. There's still, I think, a transaction fee or something like that. So give it a try. You can watch my Depop tips video if you want. Okay, about 60% of the Depop packaging is done, I'd say. Now I'm gonna head out to my gym class, and then so I'll do the post office after. I'm gonna be completely honest, I forgot to go to the post office on the way home from the gym, but that allowed me to come home and eat. I ate a big bowl of nourishing rice because I made it again, and I had a bunch of leftovers. I let the ducks swim around for a little bit, which is really great because it is toasty. So let's head out to the post office and get these packages out before the weekend.